Hello world and our dust stuff. Welcome you to the show.
Hello, world, and welcome back to R&R Does Stuff. Thank you, and Larry, for joining us tonight. We've had a little bit of time off. I think Ryan and I just got caught up in life, right, bro?
Yeah, I mean things happened. We were doing stuff and we got some content to talk about from those activities, but we just having fun enjoying life, and that's what everyone should be doing.
Yeah, agreed. Nice point. I'll kick us off. Are you okay if we talk about
Do it.
the DFW Retro Meetup that I made finally? So I've made 2 out of like 5, right? I've made 2 out of 5. And
Right.
that went really, really well. It was back at Bingo, which is over, I think, in Garland, somewhere like that in Texas. And got there. I've now decided I do not show up when they start. I don't care about the free giveaway piles. I don't care about getting the best deal possible on somebody selling something, right? I don't want to be there after that. I waited an hour or so this time. I had something to do with the robot kids, and then I got over there, and it worked out perfect. Not only, I want to say 90% of the people were set up. There were already some conversations started. People were already doing things. I definitely got to walk around and talk to folks. It went really well. I bought a couple games, big box games, one Amiga and one Commodore 64. I picked up Boot, which is the Amiga, and I picked up Stealth Mission for the C64. And by the way, everyone, of course, I texted Ryan with pictures the minute I saw the Amiga games.
Yes, and I him-hawed around and doing my research and didn't get back to him in time to go pick up maybe 1 or 2, which is probably a good thing.
Better for your pocketbook and your shelves.
Correct.
But I literally hit the same deal we hit. Now, these were opened and not closed, but they were opened and tested. And I tested them, and they're fine. So that was really neat. DOS Boot, bro. I was going through the manual on YouTube, doing my unpacking.
Mm-hmm.
They came with a self-addressed stamped envelope card, right? A little card you can fill out. They would send you a VHS copy of the movie DOS Boot.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a direct tie-in. I wondered if it was a tie-in, DOS Boot, the movie DOS Boot. I wondered if there was any correlation. And sure enough, there was. You could get a free copy.
That's what I'm interested if you could actually get the VHS copy now.
I know, I made a joke. I was like, I'd send it off and see what happens.
That'd be great. Have you played it yet?
I have not. That's the one I need to grab the ADF for. It came with the floppy tested, but we pulled my Amiga floppy out and went with the GoTech. So I need to pick up the ADF, and I'm sure I can find it on download. I have it. Stealth Mission I did play, and then also in my haul there was a gentleman with a tote. It was just a tote sitting on his desk. And in the tote were a couple programming magazines, books, C64 Central Programming, blah, blah, blah. I've been on the basic journey. So I said, are you selling these? He says, $20, man, just take the whole box. And so I said, I didn't even look. I just said, okay, because I wanted 2 books. And the books were probably worth $10. And I saw some other books in there. And sure enough, I walked away with an Amiga Workbench book. I walked away with 2 programming and C64 manuals, Ryan, that looked incredibly new. I mean, they're obviously from the 80s and 90s, but they were beautiful. You know how normally they're all peeled and bent and waterlogged and light color, color distortion. These look great. I think to wrap out my haul, it did come with some cassette tapes, and it had Swift Calc and Data Calc, some utility programs, but it had Super Huey and Talladega Nights with King Richard. So that was kind of cool. And those worked. So everything I picked up was a success. I can't believe it. It was just, a fun pickup, a fun bunch of little things to add to the collection. There were some modems and other little junk in there. But the meetup went well. The pickups went well. I got invited to an Amiga meetup. I saw Usagi, an 8-bit guy. They were both there. So there was a little bit of that YouTube fandom going on. But, dude, I'm telling you, I'm going to the next one.
That's awesome. I'm glad you made it to one. I'm glad you made some connections, and I'm looking forward to hearing about more in the future and getting yourself injected into that retro community there in Dallas.
Yeah, I had a really nice talk with a lot of people. Kind of trying to put myself out there a little, and they're all pretty neat people too to begin with. So it went really well. Do you have any meetups? Or did you get into anything fun there, Ryan? What's been on your list?
I don't think I've been to any meetups since our last recorded, but you talked about programming,
Yeah.
and I know we hit on it a little bit at I think the end of the last podcast where I was going to attack converting a older Amiga email client to a more modern C compiler and all that happy fun stuff.
Oh, I'm stopping you. I don't think you were ready to release what you were up to last time we talked.
Maybe I did not.
I'm not too sure you shared with the audience what this project is. Go for it.
Well, this project has turned into my own little monster. So after 3 weekends of spare time going through 2 different email clients, Simple Mail and Yam, which is I think yet another mailer, I have decided to not port one of those and back up a little bit. There's a lot going on there and a lot that I'm not ready to dig in and tackle with that workstate, with that setup, with that code base, and I need to take a step back, is what I've learned at this point. So what I'm doing instead is I'm still, I updated my C compiler. I had a couple old version of the linker and the assembler, and now have been playing with Amiga React or Reaction. It's their GUIs that came with Amiga OS 3.14 and newer. So 3.14, 3.2, and then in the between there, weirdly enough, the versions go out of order, 3.5 and 3.9. So it's how they built their. Don't ask. 3.5 and 3.9 came before 3.2. It's just there's history. You can go see what happened.
Is this something that's been around since Amiga days, or is this something new people made?
It's post Commodore death, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. So it could still be during that retro, like real timeline. Not 40 years later, someone started to make this.
No, definitely not. So they did an update. I don't know when 3.14 came out and when 3.5. I mean, this was all within the last 20 years, I think, instead of 40 years, right? So they simplified how the GUI works and some widgets and how it starts up. And I've been playing around with the NDK, which is the development kit stuff for it, for 3.2. Has a lot of examples in there, a lot of little simple programs. You click on it, it pops up a GUI, and just playing with that to go build a little GUI. So I'm going to slowly start trying to lay out a GUI first. That's my first goal. Here's a list of like what your email would look like. And I'm going to mock up the email list. So I'm going to go build a couple messages. I'd have I have the name, a subject, that's it. You click on it, and I want to put the text in a different box so you can actually see what's going on. And then once I have that, maybe click a thing so you could type, then you could like respond to it, and then it'll just go somewhere. And once all that's doing something, go figure out and learn. I use the term play. Learn the network information. How can I create a network stack? Because there's Roadshow is the Amiga's latest network stack. How can I go do that? And then once I can do some basic connectivity, integrate AMI-SSL into it, which is a OpenSSL 3 port, which is the latest OpenSSL, to get the encryption pieces to work as well, and to do a basic send and receive of email. And that's the plan. With any luck, I'll have something basic working by the end of the year.
I know it's all relative to your position, right? I think my dad taught me a long time ago, the minute you think you're the smartest guy in the room, you're not. That
Okay.
there's always someone smarter. But
Mhm.
Ryan, holy smokes, when you start talking about going down, now I got to figure out the networking and now I got to do SSL. It's like, dude, I'm just trying to write a text adventure, bro. Why are you writing a whole new computer? That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I mean that in a very cool way. And then as I give you those props, I know you're thinking about the person who does something that you look at and go, that's amazing. There's no way I could
Oh,
ever do that. You know, it's funny how we do that to each other.
100%. I am by no means the smartest guy in the room. Don't plan to be, I don't even try to play one on TV or a podcast, but this is a learning hobby learning. And that's kind of where I'm at this point is to go learn some new tech, figure out how does this stuff work. And my ultimate goal was I've always wanted to release something in C. So is all being written in C. And that's a personal goal of mine. So that's why we're here. Is it going to be the best email client in the world? Oh God, no.
Yeah.
Is it going to work? It's going to do something. I bet I'm going to be able to send an email and get emails. And I'm going to bet there'll be no spell checking. You better know how to spell yourself. And just to get some basic, hey, I can send an email and I can get an email. That's the primary goal and go from there.
Will you open it up on GitHub for forking and things like that when you're done?
More than likely. Yeah,
That's
it's going to
cool.
be.
That's cool. Right?
There's no reason to hide this thing. I've looked at other people's source code, just trying to figure out what's going on. I spent a lot of time going through Simple Mail's source code, just trying to get it to compile. I got some stuff to compile, and then I had issues with the MUI, which is a different widget library that came out as a third party thing for Amiga OS and a couple of the other spin-offs. But I just like, no, I'm gonna go use the Amiga's native 3.2 stuff. And which means you got to run OS 3.2 or newer for this thing to work. And if you're running the older 3.1, 1.3, sorry, it's just,
Hey, that is the progression of base OS and software that is still alive today, man. You mean you live in the Mac world? You know how like SoundCloud or Soundflower. I mean, it doesn't work with the newest stuff, so you get some errors every time you start up your OS because you got this hiding out back there. It's just that's the name of the beast, and people obviously in our community get that. And they you know, except for the newbies like me, probably they know how to change out their ROMs. They know how to make sure they're at the latest things. They know that. So I think it's a good deal. I think people would love to have a very easy to use, simple email client. I think that's a great project.
I think there isn't one that exists right now that works with SSL. So this is my approach. I'm going to try to build it in a way that the GUI stuff is in its own source files. So if someone else wants to add like the MUI and figure out how to make that compile and get that to work, cool. But some of these other ones had a whole bunch of if statements and all through all the code. If you're Amiga OS 3, do this. If you're Amiga OS 4, do this. And I don't really want to do that. I want some clean modules. That if there's something specific, then how do we break it apart and make it work like that? It was hard to read.
I think that's a good way. And by the way, I worked on someone's original source code too this past couple weeks.
Oh,
yeah.
What were you building?
I worked on the original source code of a 1978 Volkswagen bus.
Oh,
did we?
Right.
We haven't talked about the breakdown, have we?
No, because that happened during our little hiatus.
It did.
It
so,
did.
Yeah,
So
Sarah and I were off to a camping trip in the Volkswagen bus. And I got to Leonard, Texas, and I put the gas down when I was at a stoplight. And the pedal never came back up. And not only did the pedal never come back up, the gas acceleration, you know, the accelerator pedal went down.
Mm-hmm.
And I let out the clutch to go into first gear. And then it was like there was no acceleration. And the acceleration pedal's on the floor. It should be like, whoa, should be running like, 110 miles an hour, right? The linkage for the accelerator pedal broke. So I rolled into a parking lot. I got duct tape
Okay.
or black tape out of my kit, and I taped all the linkage back together, drove to a hardware store in Leonard, Texas, bought baling wire, and finished the job and got to the campsite. So it even made its way all the way back home. I now need to order in all the right parts and replace all the accelerator pedal stuff. It looks like originally someone put it in and didn't get the angle right. So the one rod had been pushing at a weird angle for God knows how many years. And because of that, it was shaving incorrectly, and the rod just kind of snapped where it seats in and locks in. It has no locking capability. So I was able to get mine duct taped black taped and baling wire back together. So yeah, my original, working on someone's original source code worked out for me.
I'm glad, because that'd have been terrible to be stuck someplace.
Oh my gosh.
What do I do now?
Yeah, we were an hour away. And so I'm thinking, wow, what's that toe going to look like?
Yeah.
Yeah, not going to be a cheap toe, man. I was like, this is not going to be a cheap toe. They're going to bring a truck, pull it up on the back, strap it down, bring it home. But we finagled it and we got back on our trip. So
awesome.
Yeah, luckily I didn't have to dump the original source code on this one. I was able just to, do a quick modify and recompile.
Might be time to go find those AAA people and sign up if you don't have them already. Have
a little backup in my back pocket. And, I'm old enough even. I'm getting close to AA. What is it? Oh, yeah, AAA. No, I'm talking about the senior thing. What's the senior thing everybody signs up for, too?
AARP.
AARP. I need to look at them. I think they got stuff like that too, and I might be close enough that they'll let me in if I pay the dues. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they've already sent me a membership letter.
See, I could swear we're getting old enough, but yeah. So I had some repair time, but I need to go back and redo mine. So again, another thing, we were doing adventures. I know all of us have our little adventures here and there, and so that was one of our adventures that got in the way on a weekend. And we'll talk about some of our other conventions. I know I went to Galley in this time, and you went to a convention, and we even have to start planning for our conventions.
Yeah, definitely. We've got Gen Con is coming. It is a board gaming convention for those, we've crossed the streams out of vintage computers and VWs, but it's an awesome board game convention. There's a lot of us. There's a group of us that go together. We hang out pretty much every year and go have a good time. Problem is, this convention is ginormous, and you got to get flights and hotels and all that happy fun stuff.
Flights are a little more expensive this year than they were years before. I've noticed that. I'm going to say at least like 100 uplift compared to other years. It might be 100 and a little more. But this is the first year the flights have started to get into that price range.
Yeah, mine are just consistently expensive for a little hour and 40-minute flight.
Yeah, well, at least I'm coming from Texas up to Indy, so it has a little bit more, I think 2.5 hours, but we were pretty close. I think my quick synopsis put me at around $650 a person. Tax, funnel, and license. I'll probably get up to 700, right? If I want early bird, it'll be like $20 each ticket. So I'll probably get to 700 per ticket. How are you sitting on your quick hour something flight?
If it's if I go with the normal times and I'm not getting up stupid early, it's going to be just under 600.
Okay,
that's an all in with everything. Yeah. We're flying different carriers.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I might go through and check Delta and check American. Right now I did a Southwest review. I got points over there, so I'll burn through my points this year on them. And then I have points on Delta, so I might burn some Delta points. You know what I mean? For some of the kids. I don't know if I mentioned on the podcast, everyone's coming. Robert and his partner, and Cassidy and her partner. So we will have a full crew, and it looks like Gillespie is going to stay with me in the front room. So we will have it'll be like old school Gen Con for us, and the kids will get to see how we've always kind of done it, with cooking in the room and sharing resources and playing games at night. You know what I mean? They're going to get to see the whole Gen Con experience.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. So looking forward to seeing everybody. Be a great time. We're all luckily we've got hotel rooms and we've won that lottery, and we've got everybody there.
Yeah, it's
So
gonna
very
be
happy about that.
it's gonna be great. Great rooms, easy to get in and out of the convention. And Larry, I know he and I need to talk about True Dungeon because we gotta line up which ones the kids are in, which ones the kids aren't in, which one are we doing with Michelle and her crew. And I don't know if maybe we just buy 10 in every seat and we have enough for everybody. But I also have the kids lined up that maybe everybody's in one run together. Maybe 2 of you in one run and 2 of you in another run. We're gonna have to juggle a little bit to figure that out.
Got enough there. We could probably do all the runs, but yeah, it would. I think we're only going to do. I think we only do 2 runs there.
Got it. So that might be fun. That they have that intro to dungeon where it's kind of commando run. You know what I mean? You get your chips and you go, and it's Nerf. It's very easy.
Yeah.
I might even talk to the kids and line up I go with them on a Nerf run so they can see how it's played before they go on a real run with us. Oh, actually, they all know how it's played. They've played.
I know how it's played. They've played online.
They know exactly what they're doing. Rob's played in so many of our physical games. I'm going to shut up and say, I can't wait to get our Gen Con all wrapped up. Folks, we're going to tell you about our events. We're going to tell you about what we're doing. And if you're at Gen Con, let us know. You can just subscribe, let us know you're going to be there, and comment down below, and we will see you. So that would be awesome if we bump into some people while we're doing that. Dude, anything else you've worked on? Anything else you've repaired? I got another little repair story, but I wonder if you're ahead of me on this.
Well, mine hasn't gone well so far. I'll start with that. I have a video toaster in an Amiga 2000, and I've been meaning to do something with it for, I don't know, a year now. So I finally got the little BNC to RCA adapters. I finally dug out my little camcorder. I got a little USB video encoder. So I can take the output, all the cables. I was playing with it a little bit today. I had the software installed. I think there's the thing that's going to require more playing around. And it doesn't work. So I'm not getting video out of the toaster at this point. It's giving me some weird flickering. I got to go figure out what that really means to me. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if the toaster's bad. I don't know if I have the software installed incorrectly. Very probable. I just don't know what I'm doing. Also improbable. I've watched a couple YouTube videos today going which ports on the back of the toaster are what. There are 6 BNC ports on the back. I know the top 4 are inputs and the bottom 2 are outputs. I've tried both outputs. So you can do all kinds of stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, you can have 4 inputs, 4 different camera sources.
And those are all composite, basically.
Yeah, they're BNCs. Yeah,
they're just a composite signal. It's not S-video. It is just a composite. And so you do not have to necessarily worry about like RGB, HV. It is one connection. And so that doesn't make sense why at least one of the outputs isn't working.
Yeah, I would have thought. I've tried both outputs to the video encoder. I've tried another video source to my video encoder. That worked. I tried the camcorder into the video encoder. That worked. So I've taken those out of the equation going, oh, these work together. So I think there's something up with the toaster. I don't know what I'm doing. Highly probable.
Do you have any other television that just takes a composite input like from your Atari?
The Atari, yeah, I do. But the encoder...
I think I might test another source. I might check another output source. An output receiver. Sorry, output receiver. Get rid of the video encoder completely and see if you can just go to a TV.
It should be the same.
I have
the camcorder. The camcorder, I have the yellow out into the yellow in of my encoder, and I have
should be. That's a big word. Should be, and so that's why I like to test other places. Maybe your destination can't accept what's coming off that card.
Well, my camcorder's also 320 by 200.
Oh, that's
So
good. Okay, that's very good.
it's an older, it's a DV cam,
Yeah.
old, mini DV cam. So it's standard def.
Yeah. Well, we shall see. Hopefully, are you going to try and do chip repair on this board, or are you just going to send it off to Chris Edwards?
I don't even know if it's broken yet.
That's
I don't
true.
know. I played with it for about 2 hours today. The day of us recording, I played with it about 2 hours earlier, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And I think I'm done playing with that for a bit. I have a second video toaster I might try at some point.
Good.
So I have the original toaster, and I have the toaster 4000. Maybe this toaster has an issue, and the other one's fine. I don't know. These were.
And if both don't work with the same encoder, that starts pushing you to, oh, wow, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Kind of like that darn HDMI or that darn VGA monitor I have that doesn't have the right cycles to work with an Amiga. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which it shouldn't, because that's out of spec for VGA, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, it is fine. Just one of those things. But I felt a little similar that you have a project that's been sitting a long time, because we chatted about starting the SX64. I finally started it. I got my first episode done, and man, my takeaway is I have no sound. Cartridges went in. Cartridges worked. Joystick worked with the cartridges. I don't have a keyboard. I have to make one. Remember, but there was no sound. And I was like, well, there's no sound. Let me see what's going on. Holy smokes, Ryan. The amount of stuff they shoved into an SX64, I'm amazed. It's literally that, because, designing laptops nowadays is all basically, I'm going to say a lot of heat management too, right? A lot of heat management, a lot of fluid dynamics, I think they said go into this. They get everything in that little bitty spot. Well, the SX64 is a luggable. And everything's a card. Everything's a card, but the motherboard is like 4 cards, not 2 cards, not 1 card. It's not 1 card. It's broken out into different cards, like an IO card and a disk controller card and a motherboard card, and the power supply is all on the back. It literally is just so beautifully, creatively jammed in there. I loved it. I loved opening it up. I was like, this is amazing. It was so good.
Yeah, it was a good video. I've watched your YouTube video about it. So that was pretty good. So we'll put a link in that in the show notes here. It's great. I've never seen an inside of one before, so that was pretty cool.
It was a lot of stuff. And so the SID chip's next. I can test a SID chip with my tester, my retro clone
good
chip tester. So I soaked it up. I'm gonna pull it out this week and test the SID chip. I pray it fails, because I do have a backup. And if it doesn't fail, then I've got to figure out why I don't have audio. And
it's a whole different problem.
I know. I kind of just wish it's a chip, man. I know it's terrible to wish for another bad SID chip in life, but I'm okay, because I got a replacement. I can just put it in, put it all back together. But no matter what, I am going to push forward. So if the chip's good, I'm going to put it back in, put it back together. I need to clean it. It's really dirty. I'm going to clean it, put it all back together, and start on the keyboard portion of the project and come back to the sound. So I'm excited. That's going to be on the bench again this week. So I'm just pushing along, man. You'd say I'm hacking away at it.
Right. You did a great job. And speaking of hacking, there is a hackathon being run locally here. Well, somewhat locally. It's the same people that run VCF East. They're doing a hackathon on the 8th and 9th of March 2025, which I think this will drop prior to that. Not by much. They're going to do a 2-day 8-bit hackathon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you get to use an 8-bit computer. They have a list of 8-bit machines. Yeah, it's kind of a neat idea.
What?
I'm not going, but I'm on their email list and saw it and was like, this is a really cool idea. Like, hey, let's do this 2-day thing. They're going to have some challenge that I guess the team finds out about when they get there, and then they have 2 days to build the solution, and they can only use real hardware.
Unbelievable. That is so. Let's say I'm going to make up an idea to make sure I understand what you're saying. I show up, you and I show up, we're a team. And we sit down and they tell all of us the same problem, that they work at a coffee shop and that coffee shop's ready to go digital. And so they're no longer going to take orders or print out receipts by manual hand. They want to use their Commodore 60 or whatever retro system to input for sales. They want to then be able to print a receipt and have a database of all the day's sales for that day. Then for 2 days, we build that on a Commodore 64. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
I think that's more complex than what they're going to end up doing. Yeah, it's going to be like, hey, they're going to judge based upon this. You have to use original hardware. With an exception of floppy or tape storage, you can use something that simulates floppy or tape.
Oh, SD, some type of storage interface kind of thing. Yeah.
But outside of that, you're not, your flash storage will be allowed in a limited capacity. So you can't load everything up onto it.
Wow.
So they're trying to mimic more of what's going on. No FujiNet, no network stuff like that. Nothing newer than 1999 as software perspectives. So they've boxed it a little bit to try to make it more retro-y, and it's going to be very interesting.
Are they doing anything about publicizing that online? Will we be able to watch remotely?
I did not see anything about that. I've seen this email come out, and last week, I think they only had one team signed up. Their max is 10. So I don't know what this is going to be.
Oh, I hope they get more than 2 teams. I hope they get 4 or 5. I hope they can at least get a 50% number. Because, I mean, from your events, how many people sign up to come to the library versus how many show up? Do you have any ideas off the top? Or does anybody sign up?
I don't really do a sign up.
Okay. So you don't know if 100 people say they're coming, but really only 50 show up. Because that's the way it is, right? 100 people say they're going to be there, but 50 really make it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the number of people that say they're showing from like a Facebook post, but I posted in a couple different places and it ends up. I really have no idea. I'm not trying to track it per se.
No.
That's too much work.
But I do hope they do get enough people, because I'd love to see that become a new idea that maybe even down here, in my neck of the woods with VCF Southwest, maybe they run something like that. That would be kind of cool.
And their prizes are pretty cool. Since it's VCF East, first, second, and third place all get free badges to VCF East.
Oh, how fun.
And first place and second place. Oh, first place gets to go on consignment 30 minutes before it opens.
Oh, that is a real winner right there.
And you get this golden ticket. If you come back any other time, you automatically go to the front of the line.
You got a golden ticket.
Correct. Second place doesn't get to go 30 minutes early to consignment, but still gets a golden ticket to go to the front of the line.
Oh,
which is pretty cool.
That's first. So they could show up 10 minutes before it opens and they're first.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's pretty cool. I'm sure there'll be some belly aching, but man, that's pretty neat. It's
a great promotion.
Yeah. And right now there's only one team signed up, so there's already a first place.
Yeah, so exactly. There's already first place.
Ryan, let's make a team just to get second place.
Right. We don't. Yeah, exactly. We'd be flying 64s up. Yeah. That'd be pretty funny. So yeah, looks like a neat concept, a neat thing. I at least wanted to mention it here, as hopefully they'll do an out brief or something, and then I can bring that back here when that happens.
I can't wait. And yes, we are going to get this out ahead of time. I guarantee you we're going to drop this before that. March 3rd, I think it was, right? March 8th and
9th.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be good. We'll get this dropped. So, all right, brother. I've been kind of navigating as our MC this episode. After all the work expended on hackathoning, is there anything else going on in your world?
No, I'm glad to be back. Glad to get our episode back out there. and ready for the future, man.
I always like talking with you, Ryan. So I'm glad we recorded. Anything else? I'm going to say thanks, everyone. Talk soon. Bye.
Have a great day.